So we have a pretty good start on our website so far. We have a lot of content in here, but we're going to add a little bit more to finish this out, and we're going to start with adding more content to our aside. So an aside typically on a website, let's go back to Wikipedia as an example. You'll see that there's a main content area here, but they've got content around the perimeter. And these can all be asides, which differentiates itself not only in formatting, but even location. And notice this has a smaller text, it's got a dark gray background or a light gray background. So they can design it differently because it's a different part of your web page. And you can have as many asides as you want, but it is a known element to let the web browsers and people know that this isn't the main content. This is sort of perimeter content. So we're going to add a thing called a tip jar. And I'll put that inside of H2 tags. And it didn't put that there. There we go. I'll put it as an H2 tag. Then we'll create a paragraph tag. And we'll say, hey, toss me some coins, will ya? Thanks. Glad you enjoy the web comic. Go ahead and hit save, and we'll take a look at how that rendered on our web page. Now, since everything in HTML is, if you don't have styling to locate content somewhere else, it puts everything in top to bottom order. So the order you place content on your code is going to be the order that it displays by default. But there are actually ways later that we can move content even though it's lower in our code. We can move then display that content elsewhere on the page. Let's add a footer. We'll do a paragraph tag again. And here we have, we'll put copyright. We'll put Philo Enterprises 2017. I think actually the 2017 is supposed to go here as the formal. In this case, I did all capital letters, which is fine. We might change that a little bit later. But let's change one more thing here in our footer. Within the footer, nested within the footer, we're going to add another navigation item, which also has an unordered list, which is going to have list items. The first list item is going to be privacy policy. The next list item will be terms of use. So that's a pretty common place to put links to those kind of pages is in the footers. We call those footer links. And a lot of times people know to look for such links in the footer instead of the main navigation. These are pages we need to have on our site, but they're not really part of the main user experience. So by subordinating them a little bit in the design by putting them at the bottom, we satisfy having links to those pages without having to take up prime real estate on our web page. We'll go ahead and save this and refresh. Now we don't have any working links yet. Right now everything is just text. Later in later modules we'll learn how to actually add links to these texts so that when you click on them they go to those pages. And that's about it for this module. Make sure that you're paying attention and being diligent with the characters that you enter to avoid coding errors. You're going to do it once in a while. Your fingers fumble, and either miss something or you type the wrong character, and it's going to affect your code. And unfortunately, web code's mostly unforgiving. Sometimes the web browsers can figure out what you were up to and it will still work. But if you are having problems with your website rendering, check your code. You gotta just scour your code and find out, where did I forget something? Again, if you're in the habit of always starting with both of your open and your close tags, at least you won't forget a tag. If I forget to close a tag, it's going to create an error on my page. So always just get into the habit of doing an open tag and your close tag before you start to write anything or place any content in between. All right, and then that was adding more content and finishing things out for our basic web page.